Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Alex Cuesta Daily Show. Thank you so much for joining me. It is January 27th, 2022. That is a Thursday. And I am here recording from the lovely confines of my office again, as I always do. And I'm happy to be here bringing this to you. Again, I enjoy what I do. This is a good time. So I have another fun article from the news, and fun is very used in a facetious way because nothing about the news lately has been fun. This is meant to be fun, but we're going to unpack it because when you truly, truly see what it is, it's not, like always, the news is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're trying to fluff things up that aren't really there. So we're going to jump right into it. This story that I have for you comes from the AP. Oh, no, stop. Wait a minute. I got to do something first. If you like what you hear, like, follow, share, rate 5 stars, do all that good jazz. I got to say that type of thing because if I don't continue to say it, you guys don't do it. And that makes me really, really sad. So we got to do that. Please do that for me if you like what you're doing. Spread this word of mouth. Say that there's this wacko that reads news stories every day, breaks it down, gives his opinion. Maybe he's an idiot. Maybe you like him. But regardless, just keep spreading it out because it helps me. It makes me continue to do this even more. And it makes me want to do it more, even though I want to do it anyway, whether people listen or not, because again, like I said, I enjoy this. It's a good time. But what's not a good time is where we're living. So let's get going here. AP news story written by Paul Wiseman. U.S. economy grew 5.7% in 2021 in rebound from 2020 recession. Okay, brass tacks right there. That is true that it grew. Let's get into the story here. Washington AP. The U.S. economy grew last year at a fastest pace since Ronald Reagan's presidency, bouncing back with resilience from 2020's brief but devastating coronavirus recession. The nation's gross domestic product, its total output of goods and services, expanded 5.7% in 2021. It was the strongest calendar year growth since a 7.2 surge in 1984 after a previous recession. The economy ended the year by growing at an unexpectedly brisk 6.9% annual pace from October through December as businesses replenished their inventories, the Commerce Department reported Thursday. Okay, so let's start right here. They are praising the extreme growth right now because of a coronavirus recession. They forget to mention that this was a man-made recession. 100%, I guess all recessions are man-made, but this one was because we shut down the country. So, of course, things are going to bounce back quickly when you start to ease up. Like, it's not rocket science that what they're trying to paint here. This wasn't a Wall Street malfunction. This wasn't a normal market a reset, a normal market like type of deal with the normal ebbs and flows. This was an unexpected thing where we shut down the country and we slowly but surely started to regain jobs. We lost 20 million jobs at one point at March last year. 20 million right off the bat. And have slowly but surely started to regain it back up. So not March last year, March in 2020. Sorry, March 2020, we lost 20 million jobs. So what they're saying here is kind of mind-boggling that they are praising such a big bump when all we could do was go up. And it was going to be stark and brisk and rapid, regardless of who was in office. Let's continue. Quote, it just goes to show that the U.S. economy has learned to adapt to the new variants and continues to produce, end quote, said Beth Ann Bovino, chief economist at Standard & Poor's Global Ratings. Again, what they don't mention is that a lot of this is on the backs of a bunch of states that either didn't put a lot of restrictions on to begin with past the 2 weeks that everyone shut down and have just continued to let their companies do their jobs. They're the ones that kept the country's backbone economy keep going. And once we started to flood back to work, they were the first ones. The places with the strictest rules, the strictest lockdowns, the ones that scared the shit out of their constituents the most are still slowly crawling back. New York City still isn't New York City. And that's a huge hit. We need to get New York City back to what it was. That would be huge for the country. But they fail to mention that the lockdowns and then the rules post-lockdown really made a difference in how this economy bounced back or not. Let's continue. Squeezed by inflation and still gripped by COVID-19 caseloads, the economy is expected to slow this year. Many economists have been downgrading their forecast for the current January to March quarter, reflecting the impact of the Omicron variant, and for all of 2022. The International Monetary Fund has forecast that the nation's GDP growth will slow to 4%. That's awful. That's awful. And that's policy, everybody. Don't let them twist this year. That has everything to do with Joe Biden's policy. Omicron is not that bad. It's infectious. It's tedious. It's a pain in the ass. It's not killing people. It shouldn't carry the same fear factor. And when you have other countries releasing all of their restrictions on COVID, all of their mandates, their vaccine mandates, their mask mandates, anything like that, and the United States still hasn't, that's a problem. And that right there is going to hurt growth in general, because you are going to have restaurants that still have strict rules about whether or not you can walk in with the vaccination or without a vaccination, whether you can walk in with the mask or without a mask. And that hurts business. And also, it hurts people wanting to go back to work. And some people can't go back to work in their jobs, careers that they've done their whole lives because of these types of things. So they don't mention here that part of their forecast dropping is because of the man in office and the group running the country, and their policies are not going to help this recovery. Let's keep going. Many U.S. businesses, especially restaurants, bars, hotels, and entertainment venues, remain under pressure from the Omicron variant, which has kept millions of people hunkered down at home to avoid crowds. Consumer spending, the primary driver of the economy, may be further held back this year by loss of government aid to households, which nurtured activity from 2020 and 2021, but has mainly expired. So let's break that down there. Avoiding crowds is now becoming a whole load of bullshit. Sports have been back on. Stadiums have been filled. Events have been going. Concerts have been going. People are going back out. Crowds are coming back. People were good and taking the chance. There's still a group of psychos that won't do it, but they're animals anyway. They're insane. Those people, they probably bunker down during flu season and shit like that anyway. So you can't really count them, but that's an excuse. That's an excuse. The pressure from the Omicron variant isn't coming from people not going places because they're scared of crowds. It's people not going places because bars, hotels, restaurants, entertainment venues, even salons and barbers, they're the ones that have gotten hit the worst. Your hospitalities, your services have gotten crushed by regulations, by rules, by nonsense. That is what's holding a lot of people back. Your salons can't book people the way they used to. They can't do multiple people at once. Barbers can't do those types of things where they have somebody, you can't do what you used to do, and it's hurting people coming in. So again, this is masks. And this is not being true to what is actually going on. Let's keep going. What's more, the Federal Reserve made it clear Wednesday that it plans to raise interest rates multiple times this year to battle the hottest inflation in nearly 4 decades. Those rates increases will make borrowing more expensive and perhaps slow the economy this year. That is concerning, everybody. It is 2022. The Fed said that they weren't even thinking about raising the rates until 2023. I believe that was when Trump was still in office, which means that their forecast was better under Donald Trump than it is under Joe Biden. And this is with the COVID variant going on. Policy makes a difference in all this stuff. Let's keep going here. Growth last year was driven up by a 7.9% surge in consumer spending and a 9.5% increase in private investment. For the final 3 months of 2021, consumer spending rose at a more muted 3.3% annual pace, but private investment rocketed 32% higher, boosted by a surge in business inventories as companies stocked up to meet higher customer demand. Rising inventories, in fact, accounted for 71% of fourth quarter growth. So what does that say here? What does that say? People this past year were starting to come out of their house and they were starting to go do things again. Like I said, sports are going back on. Everything was kind of opening up. Free states that believe in freedom were saying, fuck all this stuff and opening back up completely. So those numbers are really, really on the backs of free states doing what free states do in the United States. And bringing those things up, places like Florida, like Texas, like Georgia, like, South Dakota, not California. California's actually been weird. There've been parts of it have been just fine. And then they've also been psychos, but it's not but they're not a big catalyst for it. New York's not a big catalyst for it. Jersey's not. Your Seattle's, your Washington's, your places where insane psychos run them are not. They're the ones that are hunkering down and have convinced their constituency that you're going to die. You are going to die if you don't listen to us. There's still dummies walking around every single place I go, religiously clinging on to cloth masks and their stupid surgical masks, even though the CDC just came out and quite literally said they do nothing, especially against Omicron. And surgical masks do very little. And poorly worn N95s do just almost nothing as well. So it's all goes with you got to take these numbers with a grain of salt. And the private investment rocketed 32% higher. Again, people are starting to go back places. They are starting to shop again because Omicron isn't scary anymore. The final 3 months here were Omicron. That's what we need to put into perspective. Final 3 months of 2021 were the time of Delta switching into Omicron. Once Omicron hit, nobody gave a shit. After the beginning, when people realized no one was dying, people were like, okay, let's just go do this. And people are all going back out. And that means companies can now start to restock because they know they're going to have customers. It's simple economics, everybody. And I'm not an economist, but it's not difficult. Let's continue with the article. Quote, the upside surprise came largely from a surge in inventories, and the details aren't as strong as the headline would suggest. Kathy Bosjanczyk, I can't say your name. I'm so sorry. Bosjanczyk, it looks like, Jancic, Oxford economist, chief U.S. financial economist, said in a research note. In a statement, President Joe Biden said, quote, we are finally building an America. Oh, hold on. Can I do my Joe Biden voice? Let me see. We are finally building an American economy for the 21st century with the fastest growth, economic growth in nearly 4 decades, along with the greatest year of job growth in American history. That was bad. I'm never going to do that again. That sucked. But Joe Biden sucks. We are finally building an American economy for the 21st century. What? One that's still lacking in millions of jobs? The fastest economic growth in nearly 4 decades. By default, you moron. And the greatest year of job growth in American history, again, by default. You had nothing to do with it. You probably hampered it more than anything. Your policies suck. We are the country, we are supposed to be the freest country in the world, and we are now behind on other countries in terms of freedom with mandates and mask wearing. Think of that. America is behind on freedom. Let's continue. Arising from the 2020 pandemic recession, a healthy rebound had been expected for 2021. GDP had shrunk 3.4% in 2020, the steepest full-year drop since an 11.6% plunge in 1946, when the nation was demobilizing after World War II. The eruption of COVID in March 2020 had led authorities to order lockdowns and businesses to abruptly shut down or reduce hours. Employers slashed a staggering 22 million jobs. The economy sank into a deep recession. 22 million jobs were down. It was ridiculous. But the super low rates, let me continue here. But super low interest rates, huge infusions of government aid, including $1,400 checks to most households, and eventually the widespread rollout of vaccines revived the economy. Many consumers regained the confidence and financial wherewithal to go out and spend again. I guess that's true. I guess part of that's true. Widespread rollout of vaccines. I don't think that was the biggest boon. I don't think it's as big of a boon as they're saying, because there's so many people who refuse to get it, because there's so many people who spread, and a lot of psychos who were vaccine, like they treated the vaccine like a god, I think turned a lot of people off. I feel like those idiots maybe hurt the cause of the vaccine more than anybody. But again, as everything, and I think it's just you just look at it with your eyes, as everything started to weaken. Delta was not as strong death-wise as the original one, the UK variant that came here. It was still very deadly, don't get me wrong, but it was weakened. Omicron is extremely weak and attacks a completely different area of the body. So I guess it's kind of true, but the infusions in government aid, they did help, but $1,400 isn't going to go crazy for anybody. For most people, it's not. Let's keep going. The resurgence of demand was so robust, in fact, that it caught businesses off guard. Many struggled to acquire enough supplies and workers to meet a swift increase in customer orders. With many people now working remotely, shortages became especially acute for goods ordered from homes. for homes, from appliances to sporting goods to electronic equipment. And with computer chips in especially short supply, auto dealers were left desperately short on vehicle. Talking about that one right there, the demand was robust. Businesses caught off guard. They were still trying to recover. And in terms of workers, people still don't want to go back to work. I have no idea what the hell they did during the lockdowns that they got such like a lucrative backing, or maybe they just really don't give a shit and they're waiting to try and find a whatever job they can remote from. But people still don't want to go back to work. And that's a problem. That is a big problem. 2 more paragraphs here. Let's finish this off. Factories, ports, and freight yards were overwhelmed and supply chains become ensnarled. Inflation began to accelerate. Over the past 12 months, consumer prices soared 7%, the fastest year-over-year inflation since 1982. Food, energy, and autos were among the item prices that soared the most. Late last year, the economy began to show signs of fatigue. Retail sales, for instance, fell 1.9% in December, and manufacturing slowed in December to its lowest level in 11 months, according to the Institute for Supply Management's Manufacturing Index. That should scare the hell out of everybody. Those last 2 paragraphs finally told the truth a little bit here. And when you're looking at it, the end of the year there, that December timeframe, and even this is Joe Biden's country right there that we're seeing. We're going to see I'm predicting, non-economist, I don't know. I'm hoping he doesn't suck as bad as he normally does because he's terrible at his job. But if Joe Biden's, then we are going to have an awful economy this next upcoming year. He had his default year where he could only hamper it so much. It was going to bounce back regardless of him. This year is going to see if his policies work. If anything, this is going to test your far leftist crazy policies more than anything this year. Because you saw retail sales fell 1.9% in December. Christmas is in December. Christmas. And you're telling me you had sales falling, not rising, in the busiest time of the year to buy things. That says a lot. That tells me a lot about what this economy is doing. And the inflation, how much everything is expensive. Used cars aren't worth it anymore because they are so expensive. Energy and food, you go to supermarkets, you're not, you know your bill's going to be insane. You go to the gas pump, you know it's going to be insane. It is bad. It's really bad. But you know what though? You read a lot of the places about inflation. Oh, it's, it might not, it's a good thing. We should learn to lower our expectations. You stupid Americans. Why do you want your shelves full at your supermarkets, you morons? I go to Stop and Shop all the time. I have seen the same exact shelves empty for about a month now in certain spots. I can't get certain things that I was used to getting for my kids and such. And yeah, that's a first world problem and I'm complaining, but fuck, man, I live in America. That is a problem that I'm not supposed to have here. I don't want to be like every other country. We're not supposed to be like every other country. So we're not supposed to accept that type of stuff. And I don't. So yeah, the inflation is going to be this man's legacy if he doesn't get it under control. We'll see what the Fed does with the interest hikes and how much that's going to help. It should help a lot. But who knows? But that last paragraph, retail in December, where Christmas is, fell 1.9%. I don't think we're looking at a good economy in the upcoming year. And I took it upon myself because they talk about, I hate hearing about this job shit. He made so many jobs. He made 6 million jobs this year. It's a record, blah, 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 blah. So I took it upon myself to look at the jobs reports from this full year, January to December, because December just got released. And I took it upon myself to look at all these jobs reports. Now, all of them have their revisions going. A lot of the revisions went in his favor. I only think one of them hurt him, and that was in March. So a lot of the revisions, if not all of them, went in Joe Biden's favor, adding more jobs for him. And I also made sure to look at the estimate because it's funny. Be careful. Go to Yahoo Finance for any jobs report. Don't go anywhere else because all the other places refuse to tell me the estimate for a lot of it. And there's a reason why. But a lot of them refused to tell the estimate. They only wanted to say what the number was. If the number was good, they told you the estimate. If it was bad, they started to towards the end, but most of the time they didn't. So I'm going to go over the jobs reports real quick, and then I'm going to go over the numbers that that they revised it to, and then the estimate. So you know what? I'm not going to go through all that. That's fuck it. I'll go through it. January, he created 49,000 jobs. Now, is it fair to put January on Joe Biden? Probably not. He was just getting into office, but I don't care. I'm not going to be fair. That's on him. This whole year is on him. So I don't care. Everyone knew he was coming into office. So yeah, I don't know. He's getting January. So 49,000 jobs created. It was originally estimated 105,000. They revised it up to 166,000. Go into February. 379,000 jobs created. That was above the 200,000 expected, revised to 468. So 2 months there over the estimate. In March, he had a big boom. 916,000 jobs created, well above the 660,000 estimated. That one hurt him, though, because they revised that down to 770,000. So it's still above the 660, but significant. It doesn't look as good as the 916. April hurt him. 266,000 jobs created. It was below the 1 million jobs estimated to be added. Don't know what the hell went wrong in April. There might have been like the rise of Delta or something, but April hurt him big time in this estimate. And they revised that up to 278. In May, 559,000 jobs created, below the 671,000 jobs that he was expected. They revised it up to 583, still well below the jobs expected. June, 850,000 jobs created. That was above the 706,000 estimated. They revised that to 938, so that looks better. July was another good month, 943,000 jobs created, above the 845,000 jobs estimated. They revised that up to 1,053,000 jobs. So that was two really good months in June and July for the economy there. For the economy that, mind you, started off the year around 10 million jobs out. I didn't left that out there. Donald Trump's economy brought about 10, depending on the numbers you see, I think they revised it to 20 million, not 22 in March. So from Trump in March to when he left office in January-ish, he brought back to anywhere between 10 to 12 million jobs just in that time frame. So Biden was starting with 10 million jobs down about at the beginning of this year, if I forgot to mention. So June, July, he had a good time. I'll mention July again, 943,000 jobs created, above the 845,000 estimated, 1,053,000 after revision. So two good months for the economy. August, 235,000 jobs created, well below the 720,000 jobs expected, revised up to 366,000, still really bad. September, 149,000 jobs created, below the 500,000 jobs estimated, no revision there. 194 is the number. October, 531,000 jobs created. It's above the 450,000 jobs expected, revised up to 146, so better. November, 211,000 jobs created, well below the 546,000 jobs expected. That was revised up to 249. And this past December, only 199,000 jobs created, well below the 422 estimated. And I'm assuming they're probably going to revise that up into the $200,000 range because they go back, they look at certain things, the revisions. I don't know how they work. I don't know why they do it, but they always go back and look at certain factors. I'm not an economist, so I don't know why they're. And mind you, this still doesn't include all the people that stopped looking for work. And there's a lot of people that just said, fuck it, I'm not doing it. I'm done. All right. This doesn't include a lot of that. So it's a bigger number that we're down in terms of jobs than just that 10 million. That's not just it. So, okay. So let's look at it. Total estimated for the year was 6,825,000 jobs estimated to be created in the year of 2021. The original numbers down the line of jobs created from Joe Biden is 5,332,000. That is 1,493,000 below the estimate, and still 4,668,000 jobs left to be created from that 10 million number. So tell me if that's successful. I'm sorry. Tell me if that's successful. So you might want to say, but no, listen, it got revised up. You heard all those revises. They were high, right? Okay, let's look at his revised number. He touts 6 million jobs created all the time. He's short about 200,000 on a 6 million, but I get it, the roundup. In reality, with the revised numbers, Joe Biden created 5,810,000 jobs this year. That is still 1,015,000 jobs under the estimated number, and still 4,190,000 jobs to go, because we're down 10 million jobs still. We were down 10 million jobs at the beginning of the year. So we can, I guess he can tout it as a success. He could say, oh, look at me, puff his chest out. Biggest bounce back, biggest creation in history. I guess, sure, maybe. No, not true. Not true. People are going back to work. That's all that happened. People that lost jobs that were going to go back went back to work. People that lost jobs that needed to go back because they have kids and families went back to work. You see in November and December, maybe 400,000 jobs created in those last 2 months. October is kind of the outlier with that 531, because you look at August and September, 235,000, 194,000 in August, September. October is the outlier with 531 there. So, man, let's see. Hopefully Omicron, people will start to realize Omicron's nothing and we get rid of these freaking mandates everywhere. And then that'll be another boon there. But if you're looking at the raw numbers of jobs created versus estimates, taking out the ones that didn't want to go back to work, I don't think you can consider Joe Biden's year a success. Not the way he's putting it. Not the way he's putting it. He underperformed by every metric, underperformed the estimates. He outperformed some months, but overall underperformed on the year. And he's still a little over 4 million jobs away from getting us back anywhere near the economy that we had before. So this article, this type of puff piece with the economy growth and all that type of stuff is just to help with the midterms coming up in November. It's just to try and get an approval number up. Don't fall for it. Joe Biden sucks. He's not good at his job. The Democrat Party is not doing good governing this country. They have the House. They should have the Senate if they were good with their own caucus, but they're not, because Sinema and Manchin, they keep on wanting to do the damn filibuster. And Sinema and Manchin, thank God, have some principles. But this is not going well. And they're going to try and blame it on Republican obstructionists, and that's bullshit. It'll go better if they get the mandates down. I guarantee we'll see a lot more numbers rise up. But I don't know if we're ever going to crawl back out of it, because their policies just don't work. They're bad at what they do. So they're going to tout this. But when they tout it, remember my numbers that I gave you there, the real jobs numbers, not including people who gave up. And there's a lot of them. So, all right, that's the show. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I had another fun time ripping up an article and then giving you some facts towards the end there. And I used Yahoo Finance to get all those numbers. So all you have to do if you want to check any of my numbers is just search. All I did was January jobs report 2021 Yahoo. And it pops up and they have all the jobs reports there. So you can look at them. And they're the only ones that outwardly put against expectations every single time and throw the revised number in there too. It's very easy to look at. So there that is. There's my numbers there. The article, keep that in mind. They're going to try and use it. A lot of it's fluff. So don't fall for it all. All right. Everyone, I want to thank you again. If you like what I do here, like always, like, follow, share, subscribe, rate 5 stars, word of mouth, tell everybody. And if you want to find the show, myself on social media, just go search the Alex Cuesta Show wherever you are. You'll find it. I'm there. The black screen with just the Alex Cuesta Show. Can't miss it. So again, everybody, I really appreciate you all for listening. I will talk to everybody tomorrow. Have a good one.